name's Kylie, and on TikTok, I'm obviously Kylie Aussie, and I'm 36. I live in Victoria in Australia, and I think I've really upset a lot of Trumpies because I'm an international who's overly interested in your politics.
Which is what brings me to this first conversation with you, because I love your accent. I have a very good friend, Sam, she's a makeup artist. She's from Australia. When I lived in New York, we were like, always hanging out together. So I miss the Australian accent because here I am in Los Angeles now. But every time I would like hear you and see your posts, when I started following you, I'm like, how is she interested in American politics? Because you're like up to the minute. Like you're more with it than most of the people I know not in TikTok land, in my regular world. So when did you start getting interested in American politics?
Well, I sort of had to really kind of reflect on that because it's always been there. Like, I know with Americans, I find that you guys don't seem to, or a lot of Americans don't seem to be aware of things happening outside your country, whereas a lot of we're enveloped in your culture, and we see it all the time on the television. We have news that is, focused on what's happening in your country. And I think, when September 11 happened, I was still in high school, but that was sort of the first time I became aware of what is going on in your country, and not so much politics, but then when Obama came along, I thought I had this perception that America's so progressive. Look who they've, elected into the highest ranking job in America. And I thought it was amazing. But when Trump was elected president, that's when I really took an interest. And I was like, what is going on over there? I really couldn't wrap my head around why a reality TV personality and a really bad businessman would be the right person for the job. So I think that's kind of when I really started to pay a lot of attention.
It's a coincidence that he was that kind of character to get this job, right? But not long before, Iceland has been through a lot of, political upheavals over the past decade, especially because of, they had that economic crash there. And they threw out their president and they created this government where it was like 5 different people. They elected 5 people to run it. So it wasn't one person deciding. And that lasted for a while, but they ended up losing to a comedian, like a guy who was a television stand-up comedian. And he apparently was very effective. So it's kind of like maybe if Trump was like a smart, personality, TV reality show, that might have been a different. It's just that I can't even believe I've lived through this time and we're still living through this, because I still think the worst is yet to come.
The extreme of either end, it's dangerous. You need to have this critical perspective of what the other side are, their values and what they think is the best way to run a country. And then, but if you're on either end of that political spectrum, the extremist end, that's where the danger happens. I obviously, from my perspective and what I've read, what I've researched, the extreme right is far more dangerous than the extreme left.
Right.
Both ends of the spectrum, there is conspiracy theories. One is more dangerous than the other. One is pushed at a higher extreme rate than the other, and that's on the right-hand side.
So what is the temperature politically in Australia? Do you have like socialized medicine and you're like, well, normal and everybody's happy kind of thing?
Well, Well, we do. And what I find really quite strange is we also have MAGA here. But it boggles my mind, why have we got people in Australia who want to make America great again, but we're privy to universal health care. We have social programs that you guys are fighting for. So, I don't understand it. I can only speculate that it has to do with social media and conspiracy theories. And also it makes them feel comfortable that they can be openly racist.
Right. So you mean they have MAGA hats and they have the merch.
They do. And they also, so there was so in Victoria, there's a parade in Melbourne where there was Confederate flags, Trump flags, as well as Australian flags. And
I mean,
it's just,
are they like kind of the poor ones like we have here? The real MAGAs?
I will, one that I know personally, I can't say yes or no, but I would speculate yes.
Oh, this woman wrote an article about her mother being a Trump supporter, like evolving into a Trump supporter. And she said, and was really interesting. She says, my mother raised us. She was a single mom. She's always been on the poverty line growing up, yet she's still related to Donald Trump. Like,
yeah.
Where on the poverty level is there like,
yeah. I mean, that is one thing that really I can't understand, because they're so willing to vote against their interests. I mean, they're so frightened of socialized medicine, and I don't understand it. I really don't. I think one of the comments that I had on one of my posts, which I found like sort of made so much sense, was there was a guy whose mum was stuck in a job that she hated for 15 years, but she refused to leave it because she was afraid to lose her health insurance. And, to me, that's not freedom. The freedom is being able to live life, enjoy it, maybe try some new things within a career, find your passion, but not have to worry about, well, if you get sick, you could go bankrupt.
Yeah, no, America's weird in that way. There's no question. So what do you think is going to happen? I know it's not your voting thing, but what do you think is going to happen with this Republican Party and all the conflict, and like, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I honestly think it's a dying party. It's kind of imploding within itself, which I think, look, they're holding on to really strong conservative views that I don't think is healthy. I think your country's progressing, it needs change. And I just don't think the Republican Party is there for it. And I honestly think it will be better for those really strong Republican voters who are your disadvantaged. I think they need to learn the new ways and not be so frightened of change. I do, from what I've been reading, I do understand that conservatives are frightened of change because it makes them feel really uncomfortable.
Right.
They know what they know, and then sort of going outside that bubble can be quite it's tough for them. They don't know what to expect. They like the predictable. And that's why you find your big cities are democratic cities, because you're exposed to so many different cultures and different people. And it's the rural centers that are still very racist and very backwards thinking.
It's horrifying. I'm curious to see how much the Democrats get done in these next couple years. But they fucked it up the last time when they had Obama in there, But
Yeah.
I just think human nature doesn't change. Like, that's why, and you talk about the psychology of Trumpers all the time. What's going to change their hatred? There's nothing you can give. You can give them $1 million. They're still going to hate, you
You're
know,
right. You're right. I mean,
really
honest,
scary because
yeah.
there's so many of them now.
Yeah, and they're feeling it's okay to be openly awful people. And this, I'm not religious myself, but I have never, the most hatred that I've seen is coming from evangelical Christians. I just don't understand it. They hide behind this religion to be able to be hateful. I just
Yeah,
really don't
so
get it.
evangelical Christians, gay Republicans, Black Republicans, all voting against what their best interests are. Poor
Yeah.
white trash. You know what I mean? Like the
I just
fact that,
don't.
yeah, like the white dumb morons are saying, "Oh, our taxes are going up because of Biden already," and it has nothing to do with Biden. He hasn't put anything into law yet.
Yes, that's right.
I'm not optimistic. I'm just not.
To
Sorry.
be
I'm an optimist.
Yeah, to be honest, it really starts with education. The more educated you are, the more liberal you are, because your worldview expands. And that fundamentally, I think, is the most important thing in trying to combat any kind of hatred and racism.
I mean, yeah, in theory, 100%. And what happened after World War II and the Nazis, when America, you know, took over, kind of invaded Germany, they had to re-educate that whole country. You know, as a
Yep.
coming to terms, it was like a coming to terms, accepting,
Yep.
moving through. The country became very much an agriculturally driven country because it was simple tasks and kind of, and what are we going to do here with these people? At least in Germany, they were re-educating. We don't have education to re-educate. You know what I mean? These people are just flat out dumbasses.
Yeah, you need really good education reform in your country. And I can't get over how expensive college or university is over there.
It's ridiculous.
It's mind-blowing to me.
I mean, America is really just smoke and mirrors. And that is why Trump won. And that is why the Kardashians ended up becoming what they became. And that's why Instagram is what it is, because there was that turning point of when the 60s and the 70s, when the hippies were just finding peace and love and, just being there for the day. And then they turned into boomers and everyone was like the striving for money. And then everything became about an aspirational society as opposed to an inspirational society, which is why I was hoping, and my biggest hope is that because of the pandemic, we'll get more of that. And that's why I've loved this platform so much, because I feel very inspired by the people here.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to be like somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to emulate anybody on here. I'm trying to connect. It's a different thing. And in Instagram, it's like, I mean, I like also, if I put a picture of me and my husband, I'll get more likes than if I just put one of my rants from TikTok, because they're not interested in that. They want to just see things that are pretty to look at. And,
yeah, that's right. And that's it. You're showing your authentic self. And I just don't think Instagram or Facebook, for that matter, really portrays that really authentic person that you are. But that's why I love TikTok so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, my dear. Have a great week. And thanks for doing this with me.
No worries. Anytime. If you have a topic that you want to talk about again, please ask me and I'll be happy to join.
I'll see you on the I'll see you on the chat lines.
Sounds good.
Bye, honey.
Bye.